Making money in FS26 can be a long and tedious process, but there are several methods that can make you seriously rich. Today we're talking about cows. Yeah, it's time to take a closer look at one of the most demanding animals in the game, but also one that can reward you greatly. Let's get started. Let's start with an overview. Cows are naturally kept in the cow barn. On the Dawn Ridge map you will find it in the southwest part of the map. If you're playing on Harbrook, the cow barn is centrally located, but you will need to buy it to gain access. It costs $254,000. Right from the start, it's clear that this can be quite an expensive investment, especially if you're working with a limited budget. Overall, this entire project will require a significant amount of money, and the cost of the cow barn is just the beginning of a long series of investments. Now that we own the cow barn, you will notice several new icons. This icon shows where you can fill your trailer with milk. The second icon is for manure, which can be used to fertilize your fields. Click this icon if you want to buy cows. If you walk around to the back of the building, you will find another icon where you can fill your slurry tanker with slurry. There's also an unloading area outside where you can drop off bales. And finally, to unload grass, hay or straw, you need to drive your tractor inside the cow barn itself. I am now going to click on the hoof icon to see what types of cows we have access to. First, we have Brown Swiss and Holstein. These cows are mainly used for milk production. If we scroll down, we can see two other types, Angus and Limousin. These two are essentially only used for selling once they are fully grown. In total, the barn can hold up to 45 cows. You can choose to buy them directly without transporting them, but this comes with a small additional fee. The other option is to purchase a trailer and a truck, where you manually handle the transport. However, it's important to be aware of the costs. The largest trailer, which can transport up to 12 cows at a time, costs $80,000. The cheaper version costs $25,000, but can only transport 6 cows. In addition to that, you also need a truck. Here you have two options. An international truck, which is the cheaper choice at $50,000, or the top tier Volvo truck, which costs a full $187,000. When it comes to the question of whether you should buy fully grown cows from the start or purchase calves, I personally prefer to buy calves. The price of a fully grown Angus is $2,325, and if you buy 45 of them, the costs will quickly add up. You would end up paying over $100,000 compared to calves, which only would cost you $15,750. That's a massive price difference between calves and 18-month-old animals. Your total profit will take a serious hit if you start by buying already full-grown cows. But the choice is yours if you have the financial means and don't want to go through the process of different growth stages. There is the option to buy fully grown cows. So let's go ahead and buy a number of dairy cows, which is done at the animal dealer. When we arrive at the cow barn, drive up to the hoof icon and deliver your cows. Now it's time to feed the cows. And this is where you realize there's quite a bit of work involved in keeping them fed and happy. Basically, they need a mix of hay, grass and silage. It's also a good idea to give them some straw to keep them comfortable. I've set this up using 4 different fields, one for grass, one for hay, one for silage and the last one for straw. I find it much easier to stay organized when everything is separated like this. Since you only start out with 3 fields, it's a good idea to buy some more land early on. You also need quite a bit of equipment. For grass, you need a mower and a strong tractor with enough horsepower. You will also need a seeder for planting, as well as a trailer to collect the grass. Grass production is actually quite simple and fast. After planting, you can sleep a few times to let the grass grow. Mow it, sleep again, and repeat the process. In the end, you will have plenty of grass to work with. To produce hay, you also need a tether to dry the grass. I want to point out that after you have mowed the grass and used the tether, you don't actually have to wait for the grass to fully dry into hay. You can collect the hay right away after using the tether. Silage is probably the most labor intensive, since you also have to wrap the grass into bales. So you will need to buy a baler, a bale wrapper, and a bale loader. I also want to add that I personally use a windrower for all my fields. It organizes the grass and hay into neat rows, which makes everything much easier to handle. It definitely makes it a lot simpler to create bales when the grass is lined up like that. So I strongly recommend also buying a windrower. If you want to support my channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee on coffee.com. The link is in the description below. All donations are welcome. Alright, let's continue. To make everything more efficient, and if you have the money for it, it can be a good idea to buy and use 2 grass mowers, and maybe buy an additional windrower. This is the main source of food for your cows, and you will spend a lot of time mowing grass, so it's a good strategy to hire a worker to cut your largest field, while you manually take care of the smaller ones yourself. It will definitely speed up the process. To produce straw, for example, you need to sow and harvest wheat. After you have planted it with your seeder and harvested it with a combine harvester, you use your forage wagon to collect the straw. So it works perfectly fine to use the same machine for grass, hay, and straw. In summary, equipment is the biggest financial challenge. You have to invest in a large number of machines in order to meet the cow's needs. Now it's time to deliver the food. Grass, hay, and straw need to be brought into the barn. Bales or silage are delivered outside here. Let's sleep until the cows are fully grown and see how much milk they produce. If you own the maximum number of cows, which is 45, you can expect a monthly production of around 6,750 liters of milk. There will be a separate video coming soon all about milk, what you can do with it, where you can sell it, and which production chains it is used in. In that video I will also talk about beef cattle and their value. For this video we will focus only on the animal husbandry and make sure the cows get everything they need to grow and produce milk. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that you will need a milk tanker to transport the milk. There's a larger version that requires a truck, and a smaller trailer that can be attached to a tractor. To fill the tanker with milk, simply park next to the icon by the barn and load it up. As I said, you need to be prepared to invest in a lot of machinery to produce all the food your cows need. My advice is to base your purchases on your financial situation and only buy equipment you can afford. Personally, I would not start with cows unless I had at least $2 million. So in my opinion, raising cows isn't really an option if you're starting a new game from scratch. You won't get very far with the starting budget of $100,000. And if you want to make the process more efficient and save time, you will need even more machines and vehicles, which can quickly become very expensive. That said, it can still be worth it if saving time is important to you. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have a different strategy or your own ideas on how to set up your cow farm. With that said, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!